Hi everyone, I'm Shruti Shakar reporting for IT World Canada, and today we're at 307 Sidewalk Labs' headquarters in downtown Toronto, right near the Harbour Front. It's really beautiful, and I'm here with Carrie Jackson. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So thank you for having me here. So if you guys don't know what this whole location is, it is the latest idea with Google. Sidewalk Labs is a sister company of Google, and they're creating a smart city, correct?
Yes, this will be, so right now you're sitting at 307. This is our office. It's also a place where the public can come in and engage with a lot of the things we're working on. So we have about 30 people here that are working on the project, and the public can come in and engage with all sorts of different prototypes we have and explorations we have, and it's a great way to kind of demystify and dig in a little bit more to a lot of the topics that we're talking about.
Right, and so I want to just take a step back for a second. So obviously the smart city is called Quayside. It's 13 acres big, and we're actually you were telling me.
We're right on it.
We're right on it, right? And so what is Quayside? You know, where did the idea come from? You know, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So it started about 3 years ago, I want to say, and I've been at Sidewalk for about 2.5 years, and it grew out of work that Alphabet was doing around cities, and it was a partnership with them and Dan Doctoroff, our CEO, who used to be the deputy mayor in New York City and has had tons of experience building really interesting, compelling neighborhoods that do get this affordability, sustainability mix. And so the two came together, and again, it's this really interesting synthesis of both the tech side and the urban planning side. And so Sidewalk came into being, and this really interesting opportunity came up with Waterfront Toronto. They were interested in an innovation partner, not just a development partner, but a partner that they could create this space that was more than just condos.
Of course.
And
it was like an interactive kind of space where people could kind of gather and convene, but also go to their respective rooms and homes if they wanted to, right?
Yeah, it's meant to be, again, it's like this idea of like a complete community. So a place where there's a grocery store, there's a school, there's your apartment, there are jobs. Granted, 13 acres is small, but you can start to build it out, and it's not just a wasteland of condo towers, essentially. In like this dynamic street that we're on, it's a wooden prototype of what a dynamic street might be, but it's an amazing jumping off point for conversation with people to demystify a little bit of what a smart city is and start to like dig into, oh, it means that maybe we can make a street with lighting that tells you when it's 1 lane or 2 lanes, or maybe it's pedestrian only. And how
maybe it's heated.
Or maybe it's heated and you don't need salt. And so how can you, so the whole point of the space is to bring people in to kind of break down and teach and do it in a really experiential, hands-on way.
All right, well, I think those were all the questions I had, but I want you to talk to me about a little bit of, you know, the things that's going on around here.
Let's do a tour.
Okay, let's go.
So what we're showing here is a snapshot of what Quayside might feel like, and we're really digging in here to what the public realm might be. And generally in cities, the public realm is just viewed as parks and open space outside of buildings. What we want to do is actually bring that public space into the first and second floor of buildings through what we're calling a stoa, which is these first and second floor spaces. It's an ancient Greek word that means covered walkway, but we're essentially doing it in the first and second floor plate. And it's these open spaces that you can have a variety of uses. So you could have market stalls, you could have libraries, you could have maker spaces, so community spaces where people can really engage. And one of the interesting things that we're doing is all around outdoor comfort. And so can you create this raincoat that extends from the building so that when you're inside, you get the sense that you're outside, but you're not as beholden to the weather. And so you have this structure that comes out that prevents the rain from coming in. You can go in that space, you can unzip your coat a little bit, you can feel like you're outdoors, but it's not this direct line. So that's kind of the idea behind this. So one of the ideas we're working on is how you can make the outdoors enjoyable during some of the colder months or really warm months in Toronto. And so we've been working with 2 local firms, RWDI in Guelph and Partisans, an architecture firm in Toronto, and they've been working for the past few months on devising a set of systems around what we call outdoor comfort. And so you can see here, these are an example of some of the ideas that they have. looking at past precedents, looking at inflatables, all sorts of different ideas. And one of their ideas that they're actually going to prototype this fall at 307 is this raincoat idea that extends from the building and becomes this place that's between the building and the outdoors, that's kind of this in-between space where you can walk underneath and avoid some of the elements. So now let me take you over to generative design, but we actually have a crew of visitors over here, so I'll just show you as they're looking at it. But essentially, it is a tool that you can use to actually play around with these different toggles and see how you could create a neighborhood and what are the impacts then of the decisions you make. And it gives a sense of just how hard urban planning is and some of the trade-offs that are involved when you're planning a neighborhood. So the streetscape, the size of the buildings, the parks, the distribution of the parks, and how that then impacts things like energy efficiency or this notion of outdoor comfort or access to sunlight. And so this tool is a way to start to understand that and understand that in any planning of any neighborhood, it involves trade-offs and really understanding some of those decisions. So we are actually using this idea of generative design on a much bigger scale, and we're working with the New York firm KPF-UI, the architecture firm, to actually make a much bigger version of this that involves thousands of metrics as opposed to just the 6 that we have here, and running multiple different scenarios for Quayside to get a sense, again, of these trade-offs of some of these bigger planning decisions, and that's helping inform what we're doing.
So folks, I'm just going to steal you away from Carrie, who just told you about the dynamic street and some of our ideas around wayfinding. And it's interesting, after almost 100 years of using paint on paved roads, it was a little difficult for folks to imagine these lights in action. So the answer to that was some of our Sidewalk Labs engineers to create an augmented reality app. So here you can see some AVs, the STOA, the raincoat setup. As we move along, you can see people enjoying themselves underneath our Lotus for outdoor comfort. And of course, you can move around the entire space and look at everything. And it really gives you a sense of what Quayside is going to feel like when you're actually there. And that's augmented reality at 307.